All right, welcome everybody to the Southeastern RAC meeting. This meeting is being held in person in Green River, Utah, and is also being streamed live on YouTube. This public forum allows you to express your opinions and ideas on wildlife management in our state. This RAC considers your feedback on proposals before us today and reports them to the Wildlife Board. The Wildlife Board, not the RAC, is in charge with setting wildlife policy for our state. We all have ideas on opinions about what is best for Utah's wildlife, and it's why we're here today. We encourage those who want to express their opinion to fill out a comment card. Those are found in the back on that table. Comments at today's meeting should be focused on topics listed on the agenda. Unrelated comments will not be heard today and should be sent directly to the DWR or RAC and board members for consideration at another time. We expect those in attendance to respect the people who speak, especially those who hold views that don't align with their own. Respectful behavior facilitates efficient meetings where RAC members can listen, digest, and address concerns, ideas, and proposals being presented. Disrespectful behavior will not be tolerated, and those who engage in it will be asked to leave. Lastly, please help reduce distractions during the meeting by putting your phone on silent, and if you need to take a call, we ask that you step outside. We'd like to welcome all the RAC members here today, so I guess we can go out in the room and start with Trish and just say your name and who you represent.
My name is Trish Hadeen. I represent elected officials.
Matt Farnworth, represent Sportsman.
Charles Fisher, represent Sportsman.
Daniel Luke, represent Forest Service.
Brad Richmond, non-consumptive.
Oop, I turned it off. I'm Scoop Flannery, representing Sportsman. I'm also the RAC chair. We have some of our RAC members online as well, so if we can start with Steve and then go to Cash and Jake.
Hi, my name's Stephen Duke. I represent Sportsman.
Hi, my name's Cash Stallings and I represent the public at large.
Yeah, good evening, Jake Palma. I'm with the Bureau of Land Management.
All right, thanks. We also have several members of our Wildlife Board in attendance. We have Ken Johnson here with us, Paula Richmond online, Bob Christensen online. I think that's everybody. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And then from the division, we have Ginger Stout, Sam Robertson, Clint Sampson, Lindy Varney, and Darren DuBois. Did I say that better than? Yeah. Okay, good. You're talking about Brock, right? And then TJ.
So I'm TJ Cook. I'm stepping in for Chris Wood tonight.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda and minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and minutes.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Can we get a raise of hands for approval? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is a update from the last Wildlife Board meeting. And so the first item was regarding the Southeastern region big game management plans. And it was passed unanimously as presented. The second was the mid-plan review for mountain goat and bighorn sheep. It was also passed unanimously. The next one was conservation permit audit. And this one passed unanimously with one recusal. Then the conservation permit annual report And this one was also passed unanimously with one recusal. Then there was the Expo permit audit, which was passed unanimously with one recusal. And then the Expo permit allocation, which was passed unanimously with one recusal. And then finally, the 2026 RAC and board meeting dates, which was passed unanimously. So now we'll have a regional update from TJ.
Perfect. So I introduced myself over there, but I'll introduce myself again. I'm TJ Cook. I'm actually the habitat manager here in the Southeastern region, covering for Chris tonight. So as far as the regional update goes, from the aquatic section, we've got biologists attending the state conservation team meetings. Biologists also completed their fall gillnet surveys, and the Moab project leader position will be filled soon. Hopefully we can get that vacancy filled and keep that team running strong. From the habitat section, we lost one of our maintenance guys recently. He went over to Division of Oil, Gas and Mining, our sister agency. So we're hoping to get that position filled here shortly. And then it's WRI season. So we're working on WRI proposals, hoping we can get those rolling soon and get some work done for wildlife. As far as law enforcement goes, officers have been helping with captures. Officers are working a couple of cases where Colorado hunters harvested in Utah, trespass issues, and then we had multiple does shot during the hunts this year. Outreach has recently held 2 beginner birding clinics. One of those was in Price and one of those was in Moab. And then they also had their Nashwash mule deer event that they hold every year. Our wildlife section, they're busy with survey flights and captures. Coming up on capture season, they'll spend a lot of time out and about in the next little bit. We also held our second round of mule deer workshops. We had one of those in Price and one of those in Blanding. And then the pheasant release program, we will be releasing pheasants throughout the season. And that's all we have. Thank you.
Thanks, TJ. And I'll just add with those mule deer meetings, they've been awesome. I've been to both the ones you've held down in San Juan County. We've had great participation, great comments. I think there's a lot of excitement around what you guys are doing for mule deer. So thank you. All right, we'll move on to the first. Sorry, this is an informational. So we'll move on to the mandatory testing for chronic wasting disease, and welcome Ginger to the stand.
Hi, my name is Virginia Stout, and I'm the state wildlife veterinarian. And there's no addition to the presentation.
Okay, well, are there any questions from the RAC on the presentation? Hopefully everybody had the chance to watch that.
Is with this mandatory testing on the Ogden unit, if this goes well and we get good support from the public, is there going to be is there any thought process of any other mandatory units within the state?
Yes. So the goal is to start small, and then as the year progresses, we'll assess how successful it was. And then in the next year or so, potentially add a whole unit or other hunts. It just depends on kind of how this first round goes. But yes, we hope to expand.
And then your model here to send out kits. I've actually heard from a lot of hunters that hunt in LaSalle units that would like to see kits sent out so they could send in their it's a lymph nodes, correct?
Correct.
I know that you guys down here, you do a stop there at LaSalle Junction. That misses a lot of folks on the north side of the mountain. And there's a big concern with the herd here in LaSalle's. So if this does go well, I'd like to put the plug in there that maybe we could do some voluntary kits to send out to some hunters just to get those numbers up, and we could understand how much this is actually affecting our herds.
And that's very dependent on funding. So if we do find another source of funding, that would be one of the next things we would do. So far, we're just in kits to the mandatory unit. But you can always pick one up at the office if you're interested.
Okay, thank you.
So I watched the presentation as well and read this, and you found an elk with a positive as well. And I'm just curious, is that as prevalent? It's not as prevalent, obviously, as it is in mule deer yet, but so I'm just curious how that was detected and what you anticipate.
Right. So historically, we haven't tested many elk, and I'm trying to change that since we don't know a whole lot about that species. Due to funding and hunter cooperation, we've just focused on mule deer, but I'm hoping with this mandatory testing and a potential education campaign that will expand that and educate people that were interested in both mule deer and elk. But in the Ogden unit, we're not sure what's going on, and that's what sparked doing the mandatory testing. Yeah, so we're starting off with general season mule deer, but the whole unit will still be voluntary. The mandatory part will just be that one hunt. So we're still interested in samples from elk in that unit. There'll still be a target unit, but the rest of the hunts and the elk will be voluntary. But we're hoping with the increased education, we'll get more of those elk samples to figure that out.
Also, this test is not a blood sample. It's so I heard at the mule deer meeting that it's most likely from the ear. Is that correct?
Yes and no. So the only validated tests are from dead animals. We don't have a validated live animal test. So all of those live animal tests are experimental. And we're working with USDA and other partners to help establish a live animal test. So in all the captures that we're doing, we're actually doing the ear punch and other samples like feces, nasal swab, oral swab, things like that to try to detect it in other tissues than lymph nodes and the obex.
Use your mic, Brad.
Okay. So you don't have a live test yet. That's kind of an experimental process.
Correct.
The ear punch.
Yes. And it's looking somewhat promising, but we still need to look at the data more closely.
I wonder, you spoke a couple times about we don't, necessarily have the funding. So I just wonder if it's one of those things, and I don't know how the division goes about this, where as hunters are checking out, do you want to contribute to this fund? Do you want to contribute to this fund? And I mean, to me, I think it's a very important process to really understand this disease and how it's spreading. So it's just a thought. And I don't know, again, the process that it takes to get that little, do you want to contribute $2? But
Yeah, that would be great. That's a really good thought. I'll bring that up. But right now, most of the funding is from USDA grants. And with the way things are going, we may not have those grants in the future. So that's why I mentioned funding quite a bit.
So if this one's successful, I would imagine there might be motivation from sportsmen's groups and other things to put more funding in there. Is that part of the reason for the pilot unit, I guess? Some
Yes.
of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions from the RAC? Any questions from those of you online? Do we have any questions from the audience?
Stephen Duke has a question online.
Oh, Steve. Yeah. Well, go ahead, Steve.
Pay attention, Scoop. It's kind of a question / comment. I just came from Colorado just on a 3rd season mule deer hunt just over the border. And I'm assuming that you guys are sharing information with neighboring states, but it was mandatory testing there. And I just got to tell you, it was fun to see a whole bunch of sportsmen there with hunters bringing in their deer, and the atmosphere was, people were very willing and excited to contribute to it. It didn't seem like it was drudgery at all. And I think you'll have a lot of support, whatever you do. And I think it's awesome. Anything we can do to help would be great.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions? There were no online comments, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have any comments from the audience? All right. Any RAC comments?
Thanks for taking it seriously and doing something about CWD.
I'm trying.
All right. If there's no more comments, we will entertain a motion. We don't need a motion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. So now for the first action item, 2025 to 2027 hunt table and season date revisions. And Sam Robertson's coming up to the podium.
Hello, my name's Sam Robertson. I'm the Cache Ogden District Biologist, and I don't have anything to add or any clarification, so I'll happily take some questions.
Okay, any questions from the RAC?
On the Henry's Bison portion, what is the population objective and the current population on that?
So current population is about 380? Population objective is 325.
I know,
But that, sorry.
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to
Sorry.
say that can be adjusted if we have extreme drought conditions like we've had.
I know in past years, those bison under pressure have just moved to areas like national parks that you can't access them. How was this year? Do you guys know how? I'm just wondering, like, one more hunt, that much more pressure, I know they're reacting to it. But again, it's been a few years since I've kind of heard tell of how it's going.
Well, it's not going to really change how long we hunt them. It's going to put another hunt so we can spread out the hunters to avoid moving those bison. So hopefully it'll help with that, moving them around. I don't know if they've moved into the national parks or anything, but somebody from the region, no.
Yeah, you gave the average days to harvest on the archery hunt. What's the average day to harvest on the cow hunts?
I don't know if I have that information. I could probably find that and get back to you, but I don't have that currently. Maybe the region has. Oh, wait, are you online?
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah,
what-
I'm online now. Sorry about that. Too many buttons to find.
Do you know how
So-
many? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So how many, right now I don't have that. Let me look for it.
and I will chime in as soon as I can.
Looks like we have someone with information approaching.
This is just last year.
Yeah, it looks like on those, it looked about 2.5 to 4.6 last year.
Okay, thanks.
We have more people showing up with more information.
5.3 for the last 10 years on those cow hunts. Sorry, it took a minute to find those. Great question.
Thanks.
It's actually real impressive that you guys can do that. Do we have other RAC questions?
Yeah, will you remind me how many additional tags this is?
Well, the additional tags for the drought that they added through the wildlife board this year was 19. Next year, they can adjust permits accordingly to where they want to put them.
So we're thinking 19 maybe spread over either all hunts or in this additional cow hunt.
For this year? Or
Well,
for
you're adding an additional cow hunt. So I'm wondering if we're looking at spreading, and this might be for a different RAC meeting, but these 19 additional animals, are we thinking we're going to just put those 19 on this additional cow hunt? Or are we thinking we're going to spread them out across the?
So the additional that were added for this year will go into these coming up hunts. And those will be hunter's choice. So next year, when we add this, if this cow hunt goes through, then we can spread out those permits, and those permit numbers haven't been decided yet.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I have some concerns with 119, I believe, total bison tags this year. Is the division comfortable shooting 33% of their herd?
Well, the estimate, a postseason estimate will be about 280 animals postseason is the estimate after these hunts. And then, if conditions are right, the next couple of years, we can reduce permit numbers and allow that population to grow. If we can get past these drought conditions.
Have the producers on the Henrys taken any AMU cuts that you're aware of?
All have. Yes, voluntary cuts, it sounds like.
And then obviously habitat is directly affected by droughts, but are there any big habitat projects within the Henrys focusing on bison planned now or in the future?
Once again, I'll probably have to defer to the region.
Joe Chigbrow, wildlife biologist with the Henry Mountain Field Station. We will be having veg treatments that have previously occurred. We'll have maintenance done to them. And we have some ongoing projects that we're discussing as far as areas that have not been treated and some prescribed burned areas and WSAs. So, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
When you guys decided to offer the extra tags, can you explain to us why you chose hunter choice instead of cow tags?
The cow tags, the 2 cow hunts were maxed out on the permit numbers. We feel like to provide a good quality hunt and prevent distributing those animals to places they can't be hunted or it's hard to get access to. So adding another cow hunt gives us that option of spreading those permits around.
So is there a reason we can't hunt hunter's choice and cow permits at the same time?
I'm not sure. Sorry, Rusty.
Sorry, maybe I should sit closer. I'm Rusty Robinson, the once in a lifetime coordinator. Maybe backing up a little bit, yeah, the 2 cow hunts that we had on the books for this year were both maxed out at like 30 tags. We say maxed out, but it's just a lot of hunters for those 2. And coincidentally, our bull to cow ratio, which is another management objective outlined in the unit plan, was a little high. And so we had the ability this year to put those drought permits into a hunter's choice hunt. But in the future, if we have those drought permits, ideally we would put them into another cow hunt, because if we're trying to lower the population, that's what we want to lower. And so this year we kind of got lucky. We could put them in a hunter's choice hunt, but that's kind of the reason behind this recommendation, is so we have a place to put them in the future, and just gives us a little more flexibility.
So the flexibility would allow you to put them in either hunt, right?
It would.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Rusty.
So the date of this final hunt, this new additional hunt, is January 14th to the 31st. Is that correct?
No, that's the archery.
That's the archery hunt.
Oh, and that's 17 days.
For next year, the archery hunt will be 14 days, and the following year it'll be 8.
So the new hunt that proposed, what are the dates on it?
For next year, it would be January 6th through the 17th. And then the following year would be January 12th through the 23rd. And that archery hunt will still be at the end of the year.
So right now you have all those cow hunts starting on a Wednesday and ending on a Sunday. Is that, when I looked at those dates, I think that's correct. And so we have a few days in between there. Have we looked at running those concurrently back to back so that in 27 you don't drop that last archery hunt down to 8 days?
I think they did look at it, but it gives a little bit of a break between those hunts. And that archery hunt is still kind of there, set up for a more difficult hunt. So it's, when the average time on that has been 6.4 days.
Right, but the average you just gave us on the cows less than that, so, right?
On the cow hunts, yeah, it fluctuates between like 2 to 6.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the RAC? Any from you guys online? Okay, do we have any questions from the audience? Any online comments? All right, let's move to comments from the audience. And if none, then comments from the RAC.
So I do have some concern about the total number of tags, 33% roughly. Seems like quite the harvest to bump the numbers down. This might not be the rack for that. I really know the conversation about the gaps between the hunts. I've had Henry's bison tags. The gaps between the hunts are freaking awesome. I love how you guys set that up. It's nice not to have a whole bunch of people show up the last couple of days of your hunt in preparation for theirs that starts the day that you're trying to leave. So kudos to that. I really like that. The other concern that was expressed to me was from BLM partners, and they have some off-road closure issues running the hunts that late, that to where the roads are closed, the bison move into some of the areas the roads are closed, and they have some issues there. Is that something you guys have considered at all, or worked with the BLM on at all?
I might have to defer on the region again. I don't know that situation that well, so I don't know. Dustin, do you know? Or Wade, can you speak?
Yeah, I can speak to that. And Joe Chigborough with the BLM, I think he can verify that that road closure goes out to Cave Flat, and I think that closes on November 5th. And so during that first bison hunt, that road is closed. It is always closed that early. It's a place that bison can go to when there's pressure and not be chased into the park with vehicles, or not be pushed off on more Permittee's winter range. It's very effective, and it helps the overall picture of managing bison. It's very necessary. And so the January hunts will have the same road closure as the November and December hunts, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Just to clarify, I'm all for the road closures. I absolutely love them. Just one thing that was expressed to me that was a concern was the off-road road closure violations.
Question.
Road closure violations. With that road is gated, and so generally people who hunt bison are pretty much aware that it takes horses to get in there. And some guys will hike in a little ways, but we don't have a lot of guys breaking through the fence, if that's, or taking vehicles down there after the gates shut.
Any other RAC comments? Oh, we have.
Joe Chigborough, I can add to that. There are times when the gate does get washed out and we are not able to fix it. So there are times when people can get through, but that road is very rough. It hasn't been graded for probably several decades. So it's mainly high clearance UTVs. I mean, you're not taking a truck down it. So occasionally there are some people who decide to take their UTV and bang it up to get out to Cave Flat, but it is pretty rare. So just like
Joe, isn't that gate fixed right now?
Currently, we haven't, because of the shutdown and the rain, I haven't had a chance to go close it. So it is still open. And we're trying to come up with a solution for a better fence. It's not the best, to be honest. So currently, someone could drive down the wash with the fence not there.
Do you have plans to close it anytime soon?
If the weather cooperates, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been raining down here on the Henry since Sunday. It's just a muddy mess. So haven't been able to get to it. But yeah, once the roads are dry, I will try and get to it.
Awesome, thank you. Sounds like Matt's been grading that road with his skid plate, huh? Any other RAC comments?
Yeah, I guess I just have some concern with adding another cow hunt that's going to take away days for that late archery hunt, when that late archery hunt is already as hard as it is. And so, anyway, yeah, that's my concern.
That's a good concern, but like I said, once again, that archery hunt was designed to be a tougher hunt, and sportsmen asked for that hunt to be kind of a tougher hunt with low success. So it's kind of one of those things, like, you probably know what you're putting in for. So
yeah, I think you know what you're putting in for with any hunt. You have the dates. And so I guess I've been on that hunt, and the weather we're having right now, if you have that, the first 5 days of that hunt, good luck. Like, I think there's a way we could move dates around that gives everyone equitable time.
Any more comments from the rec? Give you guys online a chance if you need it. All right, well, let's see if we have some motions.
Before we make a motion, I guess, on the cash extended boundaries, that I thought was very thought out, very well thought out. So I don't know if that was you or someone else, but I thought that was very well done. The addition there, I think, would really help out the boundary change to make it more of an identifiable boundary. I appreciate it. And I talked to a couple people that wanted me to express that, making a little bit better boundary, more clear boundary, and plus giving the elk somewhere to go back to for safety. That they appreciated that.
Good. Yeah, that's our hope. So thank you.
So I'm still new to making motions. So we just we can make a motion to accept the boundary change and that elk hunt is presented and then move on to the buffalo.
Yeah, if you want to dice it up, that's just fine.
Okay. Yeah, so I'd like to make the motion to accept that boundary change and that the elk portion is presented.
I would second that.
All right, we have a motion from Daniel and a second from Matt. Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll take a vote. So Trish,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
and Cash.
Yes.
All right, motion passes unanimously.
So on the new cow hunt, I got talking to a few people today and I got a couple of thoughts running through my head. So I guess I think there's two ways we could make it a little more equitable. And if we're going to add a new cow hunt, we could have that hunt be the one that gets shorted days and have it be the one that ends up with 8 days in 27 and 9 days in 28. And as it, that week falls back and it gains days, that could be the one that changes dates, or we could run the cow hunts concurrently so that archery hunt drops to the same dates as the 3 cow hunts. So I guess first motion I'll see if we can get through is just to run those cow hunts concurrently so that we continue to leave the same amount of days for the archery hunt at the end as we do for those cow hunts.
So we have a motion to run the cow hunts concurrently to leave the days for the archery hunt. Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is that clear? The motion? Okay. Now let's go ahead and take a vote. Trish,
Sure.
Matt,
I'm not 100% clear on how that would look, so I'm going to say no for now.
Charles,
No.
Daniel,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Steve,
No.
Jake,
Yeah, I also have a couple of questions on what that exactly looks like. So no for now.
and Cash.
No.
Okay, motion fails. 3 yes, 5 no, 5 nay. All right, you want to try your second one?
Sure. Sure. So I guess for explanation, all those cow hunts start on a Wednesday, they end on a Sunday. The way that schedule, when I look at the schedule and those dates. And so that in 27, that's going to roll back so that archery hunt has 8 days. Okay. And so my recommendation would just be to run that new cow hunt. Trying to think how to word it. To run it so that it's the hunt that rotates or loses days. Like, I don't know how to word that, so. Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and forgive me, I should have allowed more discussion on that motion before we move forward with the vote. Does anybody have any questions or comments that they'd like to add to that? I saw Cash stirring a little.
Oh, I think my vote on the last one was going to be a no matter what, because one of the things that we're trying to avoid is overcrowding on the cow hunts to push them around. So if we run them concurrently, we defeat that purpose. I think we might face the same issue if we run the cow hunts during the hunter choice hunts. We'd have to look at how many tags are issuing on the hunter choice hunts. So maybe it wouldn't be an issue. But I'm fine with this idea that the new cow hunt should get the shorter dates. Or maybe one way to address that is that we swap when they are, right? So let that archery hunt actually not be the last hunt of the season, have it be the dates that we're proposing for this new cow hunt, and then move the new cow hunt to that last one so it can continue to be the one shifting. I mean, I'm open to something like that to try to protect that archery hunt, but all I'm trying to say is even if we discussed on that first one, I think my vote would have been a no, because if we run the cow hunts concurrently, I think we're going to have the overcrowding issue.
Any other comments on that? All right, if not, we'll hear the next motion.
So let's try what he said. Let's try to swap. The proposal will be to swap the new cow hunt with the archery hunt.
And you're talking number of days or season dates?
Season dates.
Okay. Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second him. Sure.
That was Cash, right? Okay, second, we have a motion from Daniel and a second from Cash. Any discussion on the motion?
So that would put the archery hunt, 2026, January 18th. I mean, it would be January 6th through the 17th. And then 2027 would be January 12th through the 23rd. And then it would swap. This new hunt would be those dates of 2026, January 18th to the 31st, and 2027, January 24th to the 31st.
Yes.
Sorry, I just had to say it out loud.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead, Steve.
I was just curious what the presenter thinks about that. Is there a question we're not asking if we do that swap? Because I don't really understand it very well, but I'm curious what his opinion is of that.
Sam?
Yeah, I'm going to have Wade answer that question if Wade could chime in on that.
Okay, I'm here. Let me get this. All right. So the reason for the to have it the way it's set up, I mean, we could put hunts right together and create more days. And that would provide more days at the end of the month. Basically, when you look at the success rate for the archery hunt and the any weapon hunts over the same time period that the archery hunts have been in place since 2017, the success of the archery hunt is about 75%. The success of the any weapon hunt is 72.3%. So it's a little less, but pretty much the same. The stat that I looked at to help make this recommendation was that wounding loss is 12 to 13% on the archery. And on the any weapon, it's about 2.3%. And so with the average success, harvest success or mean days at 6.4, that was that 8 days looked like it would work. It in 2000, trying to remember, 2017 or 18, we were over objective and needed to add, and we added 3 emergency hunts in, or the wildlife board did. We recommended 3 emergency hunts in January. They were 7 days each. So it's not like a precedent hasn't been set for an 8-day hunt on bison. I think that personally, I think 8 days is okay. And then something that hasn't been brought up too is that the way the calendar has shifted, in 2027, that's going to be the shortest time period. And from what I understand, talking to our coordinators, is that the calendar is going to revert, and so there's going to be extra days. The hunts are going to start earlier, and so there's going to be extra days for that archery hunt. It's just it's not a thing that's going to last. It just has to. It's kind of an anomaly, and so the other thing that was brought up is the bison permits. There's 101 bison permits, not 130. I think that's what was brought up. Just want to clarify that. And we are right now we're not over objective. The adult population is at 368, but the population objective is based upon the adults after the hunt. And so the 325 objective is a post-season adult objective. Right now, as last year's calves move up to be yearlings, they're considered to be in the adult category. And so now we're at 368 adults after these hunts. Based upon past harvest success, we expect the population to be at 280. So hopefully that clarifies that. But so I'll leave it up to you all to decide how you want to make the motion. But those are the reasons for the recommendation. If you have any questions, you can sure ask me.
That helps, Steve?
Thanks, Wade.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
You bet.
Okay, any more discussion on the motion? Does everybody remember the motion? We're switching the dates. Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, if not, let's take a vote. Did we get a second?
Cash second.
That's what I thought. I thought we had Cash second that. That's right. Okay. Good question. Been a minute. Okay. Trish.
No.
Okay. Matt.
No.
Okay. Charles.
No.
Daniel.
Yes.
Brad.
No.
Steve.
No.
Jake.
No.
Cash.
I'll write it out with you, Daniel. Yes.
All right. Good on you, Steve. All right. So motion fails 2-6. All right. Any more motions?
I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
Second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Now we'll take it to a vote. Trish?
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
And Steve?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
And Cash?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 7-1. And Daniel, anything you'd like to clarify about that?
No, I think people understand it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks.
All right, on to action item number 7. So Book Cliffs Bison Management Plan from Clint Sampson. Anything you'd like to clarify for us? All right.
Is that better? Good deal. No, thanks for your time. My name's Clint Sampson. I'm one of the Book Cliffs biologists. Got Joe Christensen back there. He's a lot better looking than me. So this is what you get. To clarify, as far as our committee goes, that's listed in the plan and in the presentation, there were 2 of those individuals that were unable to participate in our committee. The remainder all found consensus, 100% consensus as we move forward. So just clarify that there were 2 individuals that didn't participate, but everybody that did participate, we had great consensus that way.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Any questions for Clint from the RAC?
Clint, I have one or a couple. So the 2 that were not represented, what seats did they represent?
The Ute tribe and then sportsman rep.
Okay. All right. I'll let someone else ask a question before I get to my next one.
Oh,
I mean, somebody better come up with a question.
Don't let him intimidate you, Clint.
oh, don't worry. I know, yeah, my level. So everyone pretty much intimidates me. So we're good.
So this is to adjust the population, instead of looking at the Book Cliffs as a whole, but based on the 2 separate units you have established in the presentation.
Yeah, so we're combining the 2 subunits, the South and the Little Creek unit, or the roadless unit, and making that populate, like a subpopulation, and then having another one for the Bitter Creek.
Thank you.
You bet.
The Little Creek area is the roadless area.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, I'll ask another one. So this is probably a little premature because this isn't really the RAC we're deciding it, but I felt like in the previous presentation when we were talking about bison, we got to have a little bit of a discussion about the current hunt structure and, hey, we're asking for a new hunt, and we were anticipating that, this is how we might distribute tags over those hunts. But I felt like in the presentation about the book list, we have this conversation that we're going to split what we're managing for, but we didn't really get any kind of look into what is the division envisioning for a hunt structure or tags for these new 2 subgroups that we're going to try to manage for this next year. So I was wondering if you're able to speak to that at all, that what we're looking at for hunts and hunt dates and tags for next season.
No, great question. I think for now, you'll see pretty similar hunt structure and permit numbers moving forward. We're going to give the Bitter Creek herd a chance to grow a little bit. The nice thing about that, the biological structure of the herd, we have a lot of bulls to cow, pretty high bull to cow ratio. So we shouldn't see, a massive influx of bison just because we back off hunting them for a little bit. But yeah, permit numbers should stay pretty similar to what you've seen in the past. And I'm sorry, I don't know where to look to try and talk to you. I don't know if I should look towards the screen, or
I can see you great. Just keep looking forward at the rest of the rack. I can
Okay.
see you fine,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry. Like I say, like I feel like I like totally got my back to you, and I'm just like not talking to you, you know, like my teenagers. So apologize for that. But yeah, as far as like moving forward, if anybody does have, you know, a crystal ball or something like that that we can tell the future on, I'm all for it. One thing I've learned with managing bison, and I don't know if Wade's still on or not, he could chime in like anytime they have to, like any chance they have to make a fool out of you, they will. And so it's just really important to be adaptable and be ready, you know, to take on the new challenges that are going to come, you know, with the population increase.
So I got a question about these numbers. I know that you showed the habitat layer, which I appreciate. I know those, the BLM and the DWR, BLM out of Vernal, DWR out of Vernal as well, have worked really hard to do a lot of habitat projects within the Book Cliffs. We've discussed at this RAC declining numbers in elk and deer in the Book Cliffs, and wild horses increasing, and how there's a lot of mouths to feed in the Book Cliffs. How do you see this increased number of bison affecting those other species that we are so hard trying to protect in the Book Cliffs as well?
Sure. No, that's a great question. I think just constant monitoring and just having a pulse of what's going on out there, and knowing, you know, where we can make changes, where we can't. We have made some success trying to remove the feral horses out there and feral cows. And so that's been a big positive. One thing when it comes to just bison behavior in the Book Cliffs that we found, you can distribute them through hunting pressure and through habitat projects, and they kind of go hand in hand. And as you can see with those maps that we showed in the presentation, they're no longer like just on one certain ridge out there on that Bitter Creek unit. Now they're basically from border to border. And so it really shows that, you know, they'll distribute themselves if you give them the adequate pressure and habitat opportunities that way.
Okay, so there will be some that's, I guess that is the concern for me, and the concern in my question is the increased distribution as we see other ungulate populations that we're also trying to bring up to population objectives, not meeting those objectives. As we spread this master grazer across the Book Cliffs, are we going to start to see those start to decline as well?
You know, bison aren't really a camp out animal. They're not an animal that's just going to like sit in one spot and just hammer it. Like they're, especially during the hunting seasons, like they are going to be, you know, you can see they're constantly on the move. And all you have to do is talk to a hunter, you know, that's been out there hunting on that Bitter Creek unit. They are hard to find, and they respond well to pressure. They can be on one side of the unit, you know, one day, and then a couple days later, they can be clear over on the other side. So I think just that constant movement will hopefully lessen the impacts. Like I say, they're not like, you know, like the horses out there that are just going to camp out and stay and, you know, own a patch of ground out there. They're going to spread out. And so I think that will help. But the best thing we could probably do out there is just pray for rain.
Okay, thanks for answering the question.
Any other questions from the RAC? Do we have any questions from the audience? Any online comments? All right, and any comments from the audience? And I keep saying that even though everybody in the audience is DNR.
Can I revert back to a question?
Oh yeah, go
And
ahead.
it's kind of a touchy subject, but you mentioned that the Native American representative was not at the committee. And in the past, there has been some conflicts there to some degree. So are we still anticipating that, or are they more on board with working with the DWR?
Oh, yeah, we constantly share information with them that way, and work as close as they'll let us with them on those things. They did allow for access permits now from that Sago trailhead to get into the Little Creek or the roadless area there. So I think hopefully that's a step in the right direction. And just one more comment, Mr. Chair. I'd really like to thank Trish and Kent for sitting on our committee from your guys' region. They did a great job. And just the committee in general had a great spirit of camaraderie. And yeah, that was great. Thanks.
The only reason I go to those is because he barbecues.
He does. I've had some of that barbecue before. Good stuff. Ken, anything you want to add since you were on that committee?
Oh,
maybe out of line, but we're inviting Ken to.
Yeah, there was one thing, this is more directed at Charles' question. The one thing that was brought up on the committee is that Mark Hill sold out to the tribe. All of his cattle that he was grazing on his private land and on his leases are now off that mountain. They're gone. So there was that much more room to add animals. And Clay McCackney is actually the one that suggested that we raise that to the 250 on the Bitter Creek. And he's the primary permittee up there right now. I just thought I'd add that.
Thanks, Kat. Yeah, go ahead, Trish.
Yeah, is it okay if we make comments now?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's.
I was just gonna say that I thought the work was great. I think there was really vibrant conversations, and I was so impressed by Clint and Pat, the habitat manager. And I think Clay, it just means so much to have that relationship that Clay, the producer, has with these two. And he just thinks the world of them. And that goes a long ways to build that trust and to be able to say, okay, I'm willing to put more mouths on this landscape, right? Even though it may mean, a little harder time for myself and my cattle. So it just means a lot. And so I appreciate all the work that you're doing. And then the habitat projects, and I'm sure you guys have all spent a lot of time, but that stuff that they're doing on the east side, that Bitter Creek area, Bitter Creek proper is just tremendous. And it really is drawing, those bison over there. So it means a lot.
Thanks. Any other comments from the RAC?
Maybe a quick question, kind of along with what Charlie was talking about. Is there, as part of this plan update for the Book Cliff Bison Management Plan, so like a monitoring threshold, kind of talking about, available vegetation and other things? Like, is there a threshold that could be part of that, that if we reach this threshold, we may want to reconsider these numbers going out?
Oh, I think we're constantly being adaptive and proactive that way. And again, I don't know where to look, but yeah, I think we have a range strand crew that comes out and samples sites all along the Book Cliffs in areas where the bison will be having impacts. And so paying attention to those trends and just having boots on the ground out there and seeing the landscape. We're not afraid, to manage below the objective or to bring this back around and address the issues that are going to come with it. Like, I think we've earned some skin in the game in the past, especially with this Bitter Creek herd. We've kept their numbers down to account for the migration that we receive into the roadless area that accounts for most of our population objective out there. And so I think we've shown that, yeah, if there's problems, we can address them.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'll add one. I think that spirit and attitude that we just heard there, it needs to be applied across the book list to all of our species. I think we need to have a way more realistic conversation about what is an achievable elk population out there and deer population with the feral horse problem that we see, and if we're going to have bison. So that spirit of, hey, well, we need to evaluate our population objectives and be willing to be adaptable. I mean, there's in the last 3 years, there are so many units across this state now that we have an objective for when there's drought and we have an objective for when there's not. And if there is a unit that needs that, it's the Book Cliffs. So I think we need to bring some of that attitude that's been applied for other species on other units into the book cliffs so that maybe we don't all have to be as concerned as we are about it.
Well, I appreciate what was brought up. I mean, I think it's great that the producer out there is willing to have more bison on the landscape, and one of the producers sold to the tribe, because that's, I mean, one giant grazer replaced by another giant grazer. Not that they graze the same, not what I'm trying to say, but it does concern me that we are increasing mouths to feed on a unit that we've talked about doesn't have enough feed for other species that we've brought here. So that, I mean, we've brought up at these meetings before. But beyond that, I mean, obviously I'm biased here and would like to see free-ranging bison across the Book Cliffs. That sounds great. But I do think that it's going to take some careful monitoring, so we're not just throwing more mouths with the bison out on the Book Cliffs and then seeing a decrease even greater in our elk and deer populations up there.
Great comments. Any more? All right, well, let's talk about a motion then.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to accept the Book Cliffs Bison Management Plan as presented.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion from Trish and a second from Matt. Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll take a vote. Starting with Trish.
Yes.
Yes.
Matt? Charles?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
And Cash?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thanks, Clint. All right, Lindy, R 657-42 amendments, natural disaster relief. And again, we've heard your presentation, but if there's anything you'd like to add or.
Nope, no clarification or anything. So any questions, I'm happy to answer.
How are these people going to apply for this relief? Is this going to be available online for them to do? I mean, my thought process is just if you've lost everything in a natural disaster, making it over to the DWR office to turn in your tag might not be the number one thing you go for.
Yeah, so it would still be on our website, the application. So you would need to fill that out. You still have to get your physical tag into us, just like every other surrender. You know, when we do a variance for medical, they still have to turn their tags back into us, but we give them that grace period, that 30 days that is written in the rule. So they need to get that in 30 days after their hunt ends.
So if they have, is there some sort of grace here if they've lost their tag? And
We work with them, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, because that is definitely something that could happen in that situation. But yeah, we work with our hunters on that.
Any other questions from the RAC?
I was just curious how much, in the past, how many requests have you had? Has this been a very common thing in the past?
It depends on the year. We do have a few that have come in every, so often, depending on what's going on in the country. Where the fires in California were hot a couple of years ago, we did have a couple hunters contact us with their homes destroyed that we couldn't do, or a hurricane in Texas. So it does come across a couple times a year where we do get this request, and unfortunately we have to deny them and they lose everything. And we've had a few in Utah where their house was destroyed for certain reasons, and so we couldn't do anything for them either. So it's definitely here to help our hunters out as much as possible.
There's some language in there. It says the division may offer the following options. It's kind of like not very decisive language. And so who decides like if that's going to actually
Yeah.
actually happen? And then how is there going to be kind of consistent treatment to everybody?
For sure. So I'm assuming you're talking about the second portion of the rule, because it's kind of divided up into two different parts. One that's dealing with the hunters and like individual hunter, and one that's dealing with the unit. So with the unit, it says the division director may offer these. And at that time, if the situation comes up, and he'll go through all the options with leadership and the biologists and all the people within that unit, see what works best for that situation. Just like this year with the Monroe, he did offer all these options to our hunters. So it's just going to be trying to keep consistent. We want to be consistent with our relief options, but we didn't want to say this is what's going to happen, because you just never know with all the different variables that take place.
Yeah, I think my question was more for the individual hunters. It said that's where it uses the language may do this. And so-
Yeah, well, because it may, depending on if it's a bonus or preference point. If it's a general season tag, they don't have waiting periods. If it's an individual hunter, if it's a limited entry tag or a once in a lifetime tag, they will get their points back, waive the waiting period, and a refund -25. So it just depends on the type of tag. So we couldn't say you will lose the waiting period when it doesn't actually apply to one.
Any other questions from the RAC? All right, any questions from the audience? Any online comments? Comments from the audience? All right, now we'll move on to comments from the RAC.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Charles. Go ahead.
I think it's a good thing.
Okay. I think it's a great thing too. It feels like the division has put some thought into this and has given some better sideboards than what I was initially worried about when I first saw the headlines for us doing this. I do worry that the amount of petitions that you guys might get, and that there's really only one person to give that approval, and that's your director. I just think about 2012 when basically the whole Manti was on fire with how many different fires. And I feel like there's a lot of elk hunters that if this would have existed back then, they would have certainly been trying to get the division to get on board with that. And that's a lot of elk tags when you talk about the Manti. I mean, we got to experience this with the Monroe. And I know there's a lot of, there's a decent amount of general season tags, but there's really not that many limited entry elk hunters. So there's just not that many people to work through. So I am concerned at how much requests that you guys are going to get, and how often you might have to justify when you're going to tell people no, and if the public really feels like there's transparency between this group got told no, but this group over here got told yes. I think you guys are going to have to be really, really clear on why you said no to some and why you said yes to others.
You want me to comment to that?
It's up to you. Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure there's some clarification. So, the one that the division director has authority over is unit wide. So it'd be everyone for that particular species that would get that relief. So it's not like where one person would reach out because his drainage is on fire. So the second part of the rule is like, if the whole unit meets these criteria, then every hunter with that species tag that's affected would get that relief. The first portion of the tag is for individuals that natural disaster affected them individually. Then, it could affect one or two people, but wouldn't be like hit and miss. So that's kind of how it would work.
No, and I agree with that, Lindy. But I think you guys are going to, even though the rule's clear, you're going to have them call when it's just their drainage, asking, hey, can we offer this to everyone? Right.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. We get that now when there's drainage on fire, and we'll work through it. We'll be as transparent as possible. So.
Yeah, I think authorizing you guys to make some parameters is a great idea, just because, you look at, as an example, Deer Creek fire this year in the LaSalle's was 17,000 acres. FEMA stepped in. It was an FMAG fire, but it was 17,000 acres over a much larger unit. Probably wouldn't affect most people. But if you looked at FEMA stepped in, you could make a justifiable case that this was a natural disaster that affected the whole area. It was a disaster. There was a lot of houses that were lost. I'm not trying to minimize that. But looking at the unit as a whole, it probably wasn't a disaster for elk hunters in that unit. So setting some parameters, I think, is probably a good call.
All right, any more comments? If not, we will entertain a motion.
I move to adopt the recommendations of the division.
Motion from Brad to accept as presented. Any second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Second from Daniel. Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll move to a vote. Tricia,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
and Cash.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes unanimously. Thanks, Lindy.
Thank you.
All right, Darren's coming up. He's not talking about predators.
I'm not.
So this is for the CWMU and landowner permit recommendations.
Correct. I have a couple of clarifications just to make sure we're all on the same page. In the presentation for the salt wells, CWMU, we got the permit changes right. They're dropping deer and dropping 10 pronghorn permits. In the presentation, it said that there was no change to the acreage, and that isn't the case. It's actually a fairly significant change, which accounts for the change in the permit. So they'll be dropping 28,814 acres from that. CWMU, it's a bunch of the landowners pulled out, and so still a 7,800 acre CWMU, and it still qualifies for pronghorn. But there's, as we saw in the presentation, there's a significant change in those permits, recommended permits. The other thing that wasn't in the presentation that I think is important for the public to be aware of is the Two Bear CWMU is going to be dropping elk from their CWMU, and if people have been putting in for that in the past, they won't see that moving forward. So I just want to make sure that that's out there informationally. Other than that, I'm happy to take questions.
Sorry about that. So I'm going to just concentrate on the Southeastern region. So, and I might be wrong. I think I took my notes correctly. It stated that Blackhawk, you were adding 1 buck deer, Indian Head 6 bull elk, and Patmos Ridge 4 bull elk. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did I write down that? And could you just tell me why? What are the circumstances behind all of those?
I think maybe I'll let the region address that since we're here and they know them more than better than I do.
Brad, are you online?
Maybe not.
He was on the camera earlier.
They're all.
All right, Trish, tell me, let's start at the top. Blackhawk, right?
Yeah, Blackhawk, the Indian Head, and the Patmos Ridge.
I
So
do have
they all
notes.
had additions.
I do have notes.
So I
Let's
just-
see. I think Blackhawk was a change.
Just the
Yeah,
circumstances.
so Blackhawk, yeah, adding 1 private buck tag, and let's see. Oh, okay, that additional tag is because they is to compensate for some public acres that are included in that CWMU. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but my recollection is that the core of that CWMU falls below the minimum acreage requirement, but they have some non-contiguous land. So the overall acreage is sufficient, but the core has to meet. And so under the new rule, if they fall below, I think in this case, it must be below 10 because the total private acres is 21,000. They have to offer an additional tag to the public in order to do that. So that was what the change would be on that one. And then what was the next one, Trish? Pinhead
and TJ, yep.
Darren, Wade jumped back online, so I think
Oh,
Brad's
alright.
available now as well.
Okay. So yeah, looks like Indian Head is Brad's, and I actually don't have any notes on that one, so I'd have to go back and remember. But
Can you repeat the question for Brad?
Are you there, Brad?
Yes, yeah,
I was
I didn't hear the question.
wondering about these modifications. So it said that Indian Head, they were adding 6 bull elk tags and then Patmos Ridge 4 bull elk. So I was just wondering what are the circumstances behind that?
In the case of Indian Head, it's, they qualify for them. They tried to reduce tags for a number of years to increase quality, and they realized they're, kind of how they're marketing elk and things like that. It works better at this higher end, and it worked well there for decades at that permit level. So they're going back up to that. In the case of Patmos Ridge, they're involved in the exchange programs quite a bit. So it's often offering permits to disabled hunters and things like that, either on that CWMU or others participating in the program. So it's just being more flexible in that program will likely not result in much more harvest on that CWMU per se.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brad.
Other questions from the RAC? All right, no.
I'll ask one just to build off of that for a little bit, because I want to make sure that I got this clear. So under Patmos Ridge in the explanatory in the packet, and like I said, I think this might have just been answered, but I want to make sure we're clear. So under rule, there are only 5 reasons given whereby CWMU tag can be put into the reciprocal program. So for Patmos Ridge specifically, which one of those 5 reasons are they exercising whereby this allows them to do that?
That's a great question that I don't have those 5 things in front of me. So, did you see them? Yeah, I'm not looking at the rule right now. I apologize.
That's all right. I got the rule here. I'll try to rattle them off.
Good job.
Okay.
He's got them memorized.
He was ready. He sat on the committee.
So, and by the way, Darren, I have no idea why you would want Chad's job. I have no idea why you would.
I'm a person for punishment.
I was going to say
I got to go last. So the whole experience.
Okay, I do not know why you want that job. Okay, sorry. Here's the 5 reasons. Okay, number 1 is to raise funds to address a joint habitat improvement project. 2 is to address emergency situations limiting hunting opportunity on a CWMU. 3 are raise funds to aid in essential management practices for the benefit of a CWMU species, including obtaining age or species population data as recommended by the regional division personnel and approved by the wildlife section chief. 4, be used with unused vouchers as provided in subsection R 657-37-9-18-2, or be used to achieve antlerless harvest objectives for big game populations that may migrate across different CWMUs.
Thanks for reading them for me. I apologize. So there's 2 of them. They don't raise funds with those. They're donated hunts. It's that option 4 there.
Okay.
They are working on some habitat work and things up there, but these funds, they don't raise any funds with this. They're donated hunts for disabled hunters.
Okay, great. So they're doing this under number 4. Okay, that's great. I just wanted to check in on. I didn't feel like in the presentation it was clear why they were able to do it, and so I wanted to get that answered tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we articulated that. Thank you.
Thanks, Cash. That's helpful. I'll make sure in the future to remember to mention those caveats.
Thanks, Cash. Any more questions from the RAC? Questions from the audience? Online comments? All right, and let's move into comments from the RAC. Nothing, Cash, really? Nothing at all?
Oh, I mean, looks good. It made me sick to look at the splits, but we're not talking about splits, so. we'll get a lot of hunters out on private acres this next year, and I appreciate that. So.
All right. Well, if we have no comments, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Matt and a second from Charles. Any discussion on the motion? Let's go ahead and take a vote. Tricia,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Cash.
Yes.
Awesome. Can we take a motion to hold some meetings in Blanding?
No.
I tried.
I'll second that.
All right. Thank you, Steve. All right, Jake, I'm sure you're with us, right?
Third.
Awesome. Okay, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor, raise your hand. All right, adjourned. Been dying to hit that hammer.